Manual bids deciphered. There's an opinion you should run fully cost caps in your ad account. Here's what I think that's a mistake and why there's no single ad account that actually scales with cost caps. On the other side, I love to use them for scaling, so I'm going to cover both cases today. Let's start. The thing is, when it comes to manual bids, there's two main things you should worry about. One, spend. Two, performance. Your goal is to find a sweet spot between those two, and there are only 4 potential scenarios that could happen. I'll break each of the steps here a bit later, but let's start what type of manual bids I use and when. I use cost per results, which is also known as cost caps, and I use it only for scaling. I'm not using it for testing. It should average out over the period of your attribution setting. Let's say if you're using 7-day click attribution setting, then the results should average out in that period. So let's say you put $50 cost per purchase. One day it would be 52, another day 47, third 42, fourth 57, but the end it should average out to 50. So let's start where you need to set your manual bids. I usually start either at my ad account average under the assumption that you're hitting your cost per purchase target, or slightly below, because it's better to start conservative and then increase the bid than lose money if you start with a higher bid. So let's say your AOV is $100. Your ROAS target is 2, which means your cost per purchase target is 50. If you're currently getting $70 cost per purchase in the ad account, you cannot expect to set cost cap at 50 and expect it to spend fully budget and deliver great results. Maybe it will deliver results, but it would not spend fully. Because cost cap is not a magic bullet, it probably would not spend much. But let's say your ad account average is 45 for that $100 AOV. So when you set up a manual bid, I would start with 45. In terms of the budget, I'm comfortable setting an inflated budget, but only with my winning ads. And then if Facebook overspends, it cannot spend that much over my target cost per purchase, because all the ads there are still winning ads. But what is a winning ad? I don't have a set definitions for this. It's not exiting learning phase, it's not statistical significance, it's just a fact if that ad continued to perform well even after I increased its budget multiple times during the week in my testing campaign. If it sustained good performance, that's a sign to me I can move it to my Advantage Shopping Plus, which is operating on a high budget as I mentioned, and it's running only with winning ads that use Post ID. Post ID allows me to carry the social proof from testing. That way Facebook knows this ad already has a history of good performance and it's not starting from scratch, and users are more likely to engage with that ad because it has a substantial amount of comments and likes. But why you should use cost caps? The thing is that during the weekend performance is usually better because conversion rate is higher, because people have more free time and they're spending more time on their phone and they're more into buying mode. I want to squeeze as much as possible I can during those periods because it's impossible for me to assume how good the performance would be on a weekend. Will it be so good that I can scale my campaign from 1K to 1.5K or to 5K or to 50K? I cannot know. This way, with a high budget and a cost cap at my target CPA, I'm giving Facebook permission to spend more if it can. And it usually does during the weekend. That's why I call it a weekend scaling. Also, I always use click only with manual bids to avoid Facebook over-attribution on view conversions. But let's go to those potential scenarios. Number 1. You set your cost per purchase at 45 and it's generating some sales, but it's not spending budget full. Let's say it spent only 200 out of 1K. I would gradually increase the bid by $1 until you get to the point where it's spending the full budget while still getting the good result. Scenario number 2. If you're in scenario where it's not spending a lot, but when it spends, it delivers bad results, which means over your target CPA, your only option here is to import new winning ads if you have them. In case you don't have them, probably it doesn't make sense for you to run manual bids with some ads that are not winners. So maybe work on your creatives, work on your off. Scenario number 3. In case your budget is fully spent daily, but the results are not great, you should do only 2 things. 1, either decrease the bid because Facebook is obviously overspending and ignoring the bid, or option number 2, decrease the budget, wait for 7 days as Facebook should average out to the target CPA. I said should because that does not necessarily always happen. So while waiting, you can do both. Decrease bid, decrease budget, and refresh it with new ads. Scenario number 4, if your budget is fully spent every day and the results are good, it means you're in a scaling position. Or as mentioned, if you already started with an inflated budget, you don't have to worry about increasing it. But now let's cover manual bids for testing. First of all, People who preach cost cap for testing are arguing that you need to spend a lot of money to reach statistical significance of the results in your regular testing campaign. But on the other side, they're okay with Facebook spending just a few dollars determining whether the ad is not good or not in cost cap. It's just double standards in evaluating results, and it makes no sense for me to require two different things just because they're tested in two different ways. Second thing that I want to cover here in terms of testing. The approach of determining whether the ad is winner or not just by the fact that it spent, a couple of bucks seems like a lottery. It's a black or white approach. There are a lot of ads that initially were not great, but by observing the metrics, we can learn something from it, iterate on it, and get an ad that could be a potential winner. If there's no spend, there's no learning, and I want to learn from my tests. Imagine launching 3-minute VSL and then just discarding it because Facebook did not get it to spend. And in a world where creative is actually making a difference, I don't want to limit myself just to launching an ad and discard the content completely because it did not get spent. I'm also fine with Facebook spending potentially slightly below my target if the ad is doing top of the funnel. Third problem with testing with cost caps. I don't necessarily want my ad to beat my current winning ad. I want my ads to support that winning ad. I would rather have one winning ad and then 4 or 5 supporting ads spending a total $10K instead of just one ad with spending $5K with a slightly higher ROAS. So the fact is, I require my new ad to beat my existing winner is not something that I need in order to scale. Maybe that's why me and Cost Cap Gang have a different approach. Fourth problem, ad success heavily depends on the outside factors. Let's say Black Friday, Labor Day. That's why often you see an ad delivering and crushing on one day and barely spending the other day. But when you have the new creative and it's not spending money, you don't know if it's not spending because it's a bad timing of the launch or it's a bad creative, where you cannot isolate the reasons, you cannot make a proper decision. But Cost Cap Gangs believes that in order to work, we need to assume that Facebook delivers the ads in a perfect environment and that it will spend only if it cannot deliver the results under the target cost cap. But there are multiple things when I saw the ad spending but still not delivering the results under the target. So why is that happening? It sounds great in theory, but it doesn't really work in practice all the time. Although is Facebook super robust, can it really determine the success of a creative without an impression? Honestly, I'm not so sure. On the other side, I'm perfectly fine with using manual bids with scaling ads because it cannot be that bad even if it's spent over the performance. So if you're someone who wants me to implement a scaling structure with manual bids in your ad account, book a call with me below. If on the additional side you have some other questions about manual bids, put them in the comment below. Cheers.